Hey y'all, this week's episode is brought to you by Mojo Stomp Boxes. Mojo Stomp Boxes is Australia's premier retailer for vintage, used, rare, and otherwise strange guitar gear. Right now, they're giving you free international shipping on pedals and $60 Australian international shipping on guitars.
Are those dollary dues I've been hearing about?
Those are dollary dues. Right now, they got stuff on their site like a 1970s Boss CE1 stereo chorus ensemble or a Boss NF1 noise gate. They also have a 1970s Concorde Mustang. They have a lot of like MIJ stuff. There's an Electa Japan
is that a Wilshire
Telecaster, a 1970s Japanese ET270.
Damn.
It's another Epiphone. There's a lot of really cool stuff on here.
I mean, I go look at this stuff just to see cool stuff.
Yeah, it's a really great website, mojostompboxes.com. You don't need a code when you check out. You just select the shipping option that makes the most sense to you. Thanks, Mojo Stomp Boxes, for supporting the show.
You're watching or listening to 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, fixing, modding, breaking, reviewing, and playing podcast. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve, and this first ad was sent in by
me,
by Dan Pratt.
Oh yeah, Dan Pratt posted it. I felt like it was me because I went and watched the video for this thing. Yeah, Dan Pratt posted it to the group. I've seen it posted around a few other places. People are going like crazy for these videos online where people bank guitars out of other stuff than you would expect, like the ramen noodles one, the crayons one, colored pencil one.
This one is Guy builds iPhone out of Guy builds guitar out of 107 iPhones.
Yeah, that's a lot of iPhones. Like, let's do the math real quick on the front count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I'm counting like 20. We'll say 20.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it looks like there's maybe 5 layers of phones, so I guess that makes sense. Go watch this video, track it down. It's some Russian dude or something. It looks incredibly harmful to the health of everyone around this happening. Like, aren't phones like full of all kinds of like rare metals and like nasty chemicals?
Well, he at least
stuff?
took the batteries out. Like, you got to do that because the battery going to explode and kill
And I
you.
think he de-screened them so he wasn't cutting through glass and stuff. But he basically glues together a bunch of phones into a big brick and then cuts them with various tools like routers and angle grinders and band saws. And the whole time just like metal dust is flying everywhere.
This doesn't look that bad to me. Looks way
It gets
tamer
worse.
Than, it gets worse.
Steve
okay.
is watching it right now. When he gets into the angle grinder type stuff, like, it gets worse. But to me, it just looks like a huge health hazard, the construction of this thing. And I guess now that I'm watching it again, like, you're not seeing his face.
Are you gonna you're gonna have to put this right here?
Yeah, I'll put it in there. I'm hoping he was wearing a mask or something while doing this. And then the finished product, I mean, you can kind of see the screen grab that I put on our iPads. Like, the edges are not dressed in any way. Like, he didn't put like clear resin around the edge or like a plastic thing around the edge. Yeah, see, when he starts like flaking these things out with a saw or whatever, it starts to get really gnarly. Like, I would not want to be like, remember that guy who would do Will It Blend?
Yeah.
And he'd always like be like, don't breathe that. That's diamond dust.
Yeah.
Or that's phone dust. Like, that's got to be this disclaimer here. Like, don't breathe any of this,
they're
guys.
definitely wearing glasses at this point, and they're wearing...
Were they wearing masks?
They're wearing, like, not just masks, but they're wearing, like, full-on...
Respirators.
Like, respirators.
Even I wouldn't want that stuff around my skin. Like, I know he took the batteries out, but there's still got to be nasty stuff in there.
It looks like it's just... Like, all the cases are completely empty. It's just the metal.
They're not completely empty. There's still guts in there.
There's still guts. There's some glass.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they're doing all this drill work with no gloves.
Yeah, yeah. Nice putting those pickups in. I was also wondering if this is an advertisement for those pickups because they were very specific about the the brand name of the pickup.
Copper guitars and something.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's Russian or Ukrainian or something like that. Also, the way the neck is painted is super funky. Like it looks like spray paint, like silver.
Why are they using elixirs?
Yeah, don't they know who our sponsor is? D'Addario with their new strings here, the XT strings. Why would you use elixirs when these exist?
This looks pretty sick, I gotta say.
You like this? It looks super uncomfortable to me to play.
Yeah, it's obviously an art piece, Ryan.
I like kind of the Tetris brick quality of the final front of the product.
I mean, they got one of the guys from ZZ Top playing this thing at the end.
Don't. And actually, that guy plays a pretty nice little piece there on this guitar, and it sounds fun. It sounds like a Telecaster. It's got that twang to it.
Yeah, it should.
Yeah, and it's made out of
should have that
aluminum, right?
Have a really bright.
Are iPhones
tone.
Aluminum?
I think so.
Probably mostly aluminum. But it probably feels and plays fine. But that open edge, like
yeah, the open edge would not be comfortable to play.
I just feel like this guitar is going to give you cancer. Is there a risk there of that? Like the chemicals and stuff inside the components? Like, I don't think these were all the way gutted the way you thought. I think there's still circuit boards and stuff inside these.
I don't think you're at any risk for getting cancer from these phones.
Well, maybe if they were all like functional and all turned on and making phone calls at the same time, they would give you testicular cancer or something like that.
Just feed that conspiracy theory train.
Do you remember when there was a video going around where like 5 people put their phones in a circle on a table with unpopped popcorn kernels in between them, and then they like all their phones started ringing and the popcorn kernels popped?
Do you think was that real or was that
no? It was
debunked?
fake. It was completely debunked and completely fake.
I don't know, dude. I think this video is cool. I just hope this wasn't like just terrible pod. It was pretty terrible pod.
No, I think people are gonna like this.
I think it'll look good on YouTube.
I think people are gonna like this pod. This is a good pod.
All right. How much would you pay for this?
I would not pay for this. I would lease it.
Oh, this is the same guy who did the ramen.
Is it?
Yeah, the same guy who did the ramen noodle guitars.
Well, the ramen one looked cooler than this. I assumed the ramen one was going to be the same guy who did the colored pencil one and stuff.
Apparently not.
I mean, people saw that and they, got all sorts of ideas in their head. Now everyone's making guitars out of everything. So who knows? Maybe they'll discover the next tone material and it'll be Samsung Galaxies.
This guitar is
Nokia's.
This guitar is $12,500 on Reverb.
What? No, it's got to get cleaned up on those edges and have something to make me feel a little safer to be.
He also has a 1963 Fender Jazzmaster for $6,600, a 2013 Fender Telecaster Double TV Jones Custom Shop for $4,300, and a Lawson microphone for $1,700.
All right, whatever.
The original listing price on this guitar was $990,000.
I want to see one of these made out of Nokia's, and it'll just be like indestructible. Are they hollowed out? You're looking at the side shot.
Pretty hollowed out to me.
I don't know, man. It looks like it. Something about it makes me really nervous. Like the thought about being around.
I mean, it looks like sharp.
Gutted electronics does not make me feel good. Maybe I'm overreacting. Am I overreacting, guys, to this? Is this fine?
I think you are.
It just feels like industrial waste.
Who's right?
Maybe I have some irrational.
You know what? Okay, take it to the comments.
Technology fears here.
I'm gonna put a link to the video so you guys can watch it. Tell us what you think. I'm not saying it's a good playing guitar. I'm not saying it sounds good. I'm not saying I would want to own this. I'm not saying you should want to own this. I'm not saying it's not going to slice your leg open if you're trying to play this in shorts.
Right.
All I'm saying is I don't think this guitar is going to give you cancer.
Which guitar is going to give me cancer? No answer, huh? You should have seen that one coming.
Maybe those green acrylic BC Riches.
Yeah, maybe.
I think those are actually made with nuclear waste.
Oh, we're all going to get cancer from nitro guitars. We're all going to find out it's super bad for you to even be in the same room as nitrocellulose. And that's what's killing us all slowly.
Killing me slowly with nitro.
It'll be locking tuners. Locking tuners cause just an awful disease.
Oh my gosh.
And we should have all just, we flew too close to the sun. We should have just accepted regular tuners.
Let's be honest. Playing guitar in general is probably just contributing to the American obesity epidemic. There's all these people who every morning they get up and they're like, I should go work out today. Nah, I'm just going to play guitar.
I'll just play guitar and just slam Totino's pizza rolls.
Hey, Mom, where's the pizza rolls?
I don't have to grease up my strings. I just use those sweet, sweet rolls. Get my fingers all greasy, slide up and down that neck.
Woo! All right, man, what's new?
Speaking of the obesity epidemic, I think I'm the lightest I've been in a long time. I stepped on the scale this morning. I was 204.5 or something like that. I think I was like 210 last time I weighed myself.
Why your pants aren't staying on?
Pants are just flying off, guys. They're just slippery.
That's why you have 2 kids.
What's new with me and with you is that this is our 299th episode.
Yep.
Not including like special little extra things or whatever, like the episodes we keep track of as being official episodes. 299, man.
And when you think about it, that is even, you bring up a useful point.
We're about to enter our 3rd season.
What?
I don't know.
Is that, sorry, I got to take the headphones off. It's too warm in here.
Oh, shoot.
Is we do have like all those episodes where it's like 5 episodes, but I counted them all as 1 episode.
Right.
Because that was the way I just decided to track
those.
those.
Officially we have like 400, 500 recordings or whatever.
I don't know if it's that high.
We have 6,000 recordings.
6,000.
Yeah.
69,420 recordings.
Yeah.
That's how many we have.
69,420. Yeah. Perfect. Nice. Good
or
one,
is it
Steve.
42,069? I'm not sure. One of those.
Nice. So yeah, our next episode is going to be the big 300.
Yeah, we got a bunch of special guests on.
We should say we've already recorded it.
Yeah, we already recorded it. We got a bunch of special guests on, some local potters, some YouTube personalities, some people sending in stuff.
Yeah,
from faraway lands. It was good times. Good times, good hangs.
So check that out next week. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Part of my what's new is that.
Hold on. Did you actually participate in the episode at all?
Yeah. Remember, I did the last one.
Who'd you do it with?
Everyone. Everyone was in the room behind me.
Was I in the room?
Maybe not.
I don't know if I was.
All
there.
right. Maybe Steve wasn't here. I was in one of them, but it's like gonna be the last one.
I was in one also with one other person. Basically,
we had a bunch of guests come in and do ads without us, and then Steve jumped in on one.
Yep.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's gonna be really cool. But Sean Pierce Johnson was one of the guys over here, and a bunch of people brought pedals, and we did like some pedal swapping and trading and whatnot. And I traded 2 pedals for this Beatronics guy right here. I forget what the model name is.
The Buzzter, right?
The Buzzter?
Is it?
It doesn't say on there. It says something.
Oh,
in,
it's the Octa or Wokta Hell.
Wokta Hell. That's what
Wokta
that word
Hell,
is.
yeah.
The Wokta Hell. So I'm pretty stoked about that. I still need to plug it in and check it out, but I love everything Beatronics. They make just the coolest cases and the coolest hardware and everything like that. Every knob is different. Every switch is different. Every case paint is different. Like this one even looks like relics different than the other ones. It looks like Sean might have put like 2-sided tape on here or something at some point. But I'm excited to try that out. It was fun to do a trade. I also lent a bunch of guitars to people. I lent 2 guitars to Sean Pierce Johnson.
Dude, you're basically just saying who all the guests are.
I know. I've said Sean. Okay?
Oh, I thought you were just going to go down the list.
No. And then I lent one to RJ from Telly Talks and the Just Surprise Me
podcast.
Yeah. So I'm not going to mention anyone else.
All right.
I'm not going to mention anyone else. Bob Taylor was not here. It wasn't like our 100th episode.
There were no burritos here, only tacos.
We did I cooked tacos, guys. We drank all of the beer. We had a 30-pack of Tecate.
Two growlers from Burning Beard.
We had like a 12-pack of Red Stripe.
And 3 cans of Alpine something.
I didn't get any of the Alpine.
There was only 3 cans.
Oh, okay. They were little cans. And then we got into some of that peanut butter whiskey. We had a good time, guys. So look forward to next week, the 300th episode. I don't know if I'll even be able to fit it all into one episode. I might have to do a main episode and then some highlight extra bits that I publish throughout the week because we recorded a lot of stuff. All right. So you have anything to add to that new? Your what's new?
That's all I got. What also I got is this
2 turntables and a microphone.
Yeah, this episode is sponsored by D'Addario XT Strings. I talked about them last time. They're on Ryan Strat. They are a combination of the latest technologies at D'Addario. They're an ultra thin. They have an ultra thin coating, like what the EXP strings have, but like super thin. So thin you really can't tell it's there.
Like that was my impression when I put them on today. I put the strings on as I'm pulling them out. Like these don't feel coated. These feel just like strings that have like a light, like oil treatment on them.
That's
or something
right.
Like
and that technology is fused with the
carbon steel core of the NYXLs
and the Fusion Twist.
Also, something we haven't mentioned before, new technology in these strings. These strings are sentient. That's right. These strings experience complete self-aware thought and emotion.
So if you suck, they will break.
No, yeah, I mean, you want to bring emotion into your playing? These strings have it. They're chock full of emotion and intelligence. And don't let them get near your Wi-Fi router, though. It's a Skynet situation.
Your Wi-Fi router. I definitely heard you say don't let them get near your wife.
That either. They will seduce her.
Yeah, these strings are emotionally aware, unlike us.
More emotionally aware than either of us, that's for sure.
So go check them out, the D'Addario XT. Don't just take it from us. I've only seen good reviews. Not saying there aren't less than good reviews out there, but the vast majority of reviews I've seen already on these strings, people just love them.
Get on Yelp. See what people are saying. Say if the service is good, if the food tastes good. I mean, these strings. I think they have good service and a good taste.
Try what's it? Annie's? What's the
Annie's Bakery?
No, what's the one what's the online for if you want like a handyman? They say is like the one you should go on. That's not.
Oh, Angie's List.
Angie's List. Yeah, read about these strings on Angie's List.
Oh my gosh.
All right,
yeah, that's right. Sign up for like a contractor review service so you can find out if these strings are good.
This topic was sent by Matt Tobin. He says, "Is the popularity of guitar podcasts and the proliferation of large companies sponsoring them, such as Sweetwater, D'Addario, Manscaped, why does he pick on us?
I feel personally attacked right now.
Going to compromise their core mission, which is to speak honestly about gear on the market, presumably."
Well, now he's definitely not talking about us. So,
oh, gosh,
why is he switching the script here?
He does say you could have disagree with that as a core mission. I just know we, like the general guitar population, doesn't take reviews seriously in guitar magazines because guitar magazines are very well known for their pay-to-play singers.
Everything gets an editor's pick award.
Yeah. Well, it's not just that, but it's like literally the number of manufacturers that we've post about or just talk about the fact that like what popular guitar magazines will do is they will send a product or they will request product and then they'll say, oh wow, this product was great, and they'll put it in or they'll write like a blurb that says new product from Acme pedals, this is a super cool distortion, da 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 da, and then the builder writes them and says, oh, wow, you know about my pedals. Super cool. Or they write the builder and say, hey, we did a little write-up on your pedals. Super cool. And then the builder's like, oh, thanks so much. And then they sit right back and say, oh, would you like us to do like a full page, like a in-depth dive on your company? And you're like, oh, wow, that'd be super cool. I want everyone to know about my company.
Right.
And then they say, all right, great. Well, we have like an opening for July, which is, like 8 months away. but we think we can get you in there. Would you be interested in buying 8 months worth of full page ads?
Right.
Between now and then, So,
Well, I think
people will be excited when your full page or when your 4-page insert comes out.
I think you painted a big story there, but I mean, long story short, like it is ad space trade for reviews with. I
definitely know that I have heard builders basically get that first part where it's like, hey,
right.
We want to do a write-up about you. Also, this is what our ad rates are. And then the builder sends a response that says, well, I don't have a marketing budget right now, but I'm interested in doing the feature. And the magazine just completely ghosts them.
Yeah.
Like no reply, just full Pac-Man.
Right. Full Pac-Man.
Ghosted.
Let's rewind it a little bit here. How did he word it? What do you think our core mission is? Is that the wording he used?
Yeah. So
like in your idea, what's our core mission?
Man, I'm just here to have a good time, pick up women.
Oh my gosh.
Do all the drugs.
Lift with your knees, man.
Huh?
When you pick up women, lift with your knees. Well,
he says to speak honestly about gear on the market.
That's what he thinks our core.
I mean, we talk about
what is the verbiage he used? A core goal, the
core mission.
Core mission.
Core mission.
Yeah. What do you think our core mission is as a media institution, as a podcast? I think you should just speak for the podcast, and then I'll speak for the demo channel.
Sure,
I'm the one that does that work.
I just to that assumption, I think that's fair. I think we make fun of our niche is used gear, and so we have the leeway, I think, to make fun of it a lot more.
Oh yeah,
because a lot of times we're not going after the product itself; we're going after the person selling it, or
the terrible thing that happened to it, or
what whatever the state and condition is. I think when we do like a what's new, if I get a new pedal and it sucks, like honestly, like if I get a new pedal and I think it sucks, like I'm just gonna sell it. I'm not gonna what's new it, or maybe I get it. I'm like, yeah, I got this and it just wasn't for me. Like I'll just leave it at that.
Sure.
And say, oh, it just wasn't for me.
I think in general, both of our attitudes towards pedals are that we've never been like, oh, this pedal sucks. I've never heard you make that argument behind the scenes or on the show or whatever, because we tend to just be like, oh, it's either for me or it's not for me. Like if for a pedal to suck, it has to be non-functional. Like it has to be broken, like most gear is like pretty subjective.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's kind of where we live in our mentality. Like neither of us are like, oh, Les Pauls suck because Leo Fender had it figured out. Like that's not the type of personalities we are. Like we don't go like, oh, this guitar sucks because it's not metal enough or whatever. Like we're just very kind of like open-ended and just interested in everything in general, even if it's not for us.
I would say that in times in the past where listeners have thought we were being disingenuous, a lot of those times I think there was like a deadpan tone that just wasn't conveyed, where we thought we were telling a joke, like a really dry joke.
Right.
And it didn't come across that way. I do, when we have done tried to do really honest reviews of products, because the manufacturer was like, just do an honest review. And we've done it. It was like, well, did you try this? We got all this pushback of like, well, you demoed this wrong.
Are you talking about those cables?
I'm talking about those cables.
Did we miss Otter Day this year?
Otter Day hasn't happened yet.
When is it?
Wait.
Is it in November?
I don't know.
I thought it was like October 19th or something like that.
Maybe we did miss it.
Oh, well. It's faded from our memories, which I think is success. We've successfully talked about otter things for long enough.
Yeah.
But now here we are talking about those stupid cables again. But that was like a special situation. That was totally different. I can't think of any other builder that's given any instructions to me as far as like demo channel goes. And for like, the episode sponsorship for the podcast is different because that's more like a straight ad in a magazine. That's
3
not a
years
review.
ago today, the day of recording, 3 years ago today was when I signed
oh my God.
on behalf of the podcast that agreement
God
for that episode. 3 years ago today, it actually came up. I was like, actually came up on my thing. So I think Otter Day was like a few days ago.
Yeah, we missed it.
Like mid-October. It just didn't happen.
No one remembers anymore. We have too many new audience members.
So I think, our core mission is to talk candidly about gear and to talk candidly about our experiences with everything, and just our, even when we're like looking at a product like the phone guitar, like that's based on some experience that we have had, not necessarily again with the phone guitar, but just with guitar design in general and what we're seeing. And even like I watched the video right now with no audio, but you said like, yeah, it sounded great in the video. It just looks really uncomfortable to play.
Right.
And also it might give you cancer. Now,
I did say that.
If you are listening to this and you're like, Ryan's review of this product that he's never even played is that it will give you cancer, like, then maybe you're listening to the wrong gear show.
Yeah. Well, here's my breakdown of what I think our core mission is as a podcast. I'm not talking for the demo side of our YouTube thing or whatever. My core mission as doing the podcast is to be entertaining.
So failed one.
And to foster an audience that fits kind of like our view of the world. Like we are
semi-successful.
We are what's the term I use?
Wasps?
No. Shoot, it was there and then it's gone.
Entitled?
No, you're
privileged.
Going completely the wrong direction with what I'm trying to communicate. We're trying to foster an audience that is, kind of sees the world that we do, and we can gather in the
snowflakes,
like a community of people that are kind of see the musical world that we do, and aren't necessarily kind of like what the run of the mill like kind of guitar mags push as guitar culture. Like, oh, everyone wants to read another piece on Hendrix or another piece on Clapton or another piece on SRV. Like we're like, oh, we just like playing guitars, and we, come from maybe a more alternative background or something like that. So I think like kind of fostering a different kind of guitar community is part of my core mission.
Yeah.
And then part of my core mission is to make this marketable, because we spend a lot of time on this, and we have fostered this audience that is, I think, valuable to sponsors if they want to market to our audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's important, but I don't think that involves any sort of like selling out the way we like to talk about guitars or the way we like to talk about brands in general. I think we've even, had enough of our own fun with, the brands that have sponsored us.
Yeah.
Like we can kid around, we can have fun.
And that has been a big part too, is I think for us, the biggest influence of, at least for me, I'll speak just for me. I think the biggest influence of having sponsors that are bigger, that are big enough that we're like, oh wow, where is this coming from? And like kind of surprising, because
we still feel, we're in my garage, it still feels like we're small. I mean, we've built a set and everything, but it's like, we don't feel like we're a big magazine or something like that. And to have the D'Adarios,
so I would say,
and the Sweetwaters of the world come to us is very surprising,
and it's
flattering.
It's a very different experience. Again, just being candidly, like having Chase Bliss as a sponsor is incredible, and the work that we've been able to do with Joel over the course of 299 episodes of the show, because we've been working with Joel in different ways for a really long time.
Well, I'd say that the pedal builders world was instantly open to this sort of format for advertising.
Right. But so all I'm saying is like, so that has always felt like we are kind of getting a business off the ground here, and they have a business,
right?
And we're the marketing wing, and they are the like a manufacturing wing. And so they are manufacturers who need marketing, so they are coming to us. So it's kind of a mutual, but it's like it's not, obviously it's business, but it's like there's a personal relationship. Whereas Sweetwater was kind of out of the blue. Like D'Addario was kind of out of the blue, where it's like we didn't know anybody personally at D'Addario, like before.
Right. We didn't have any
we
way to like contact their marketing team or whatever. Like,
So that's kind of different. And so for my perspective on that is when we started getting those where it's like people that we had never met who are asking for marketing. Like, I think the thing that for me that changes show is just trying to tighten things up a little.
yes.
Like
To
in
put
terms of
put on a better, more entertaining show and tighten up kind of the style and the production
which
qualities.
I don't know if that's actually happened at all.
I think we keep intending to tighten it up, and certain things feel more professional now, but like we're still doing the same dumb show we've always done because it's literally all we know how to do, you know?
Yeah.
And then as far as like the demo side of it, like I feel like that's the place where people probably need to care more about what
Sure.
I'm saying or presenting with the products. My core mission has always been to just present, like if I'm doing a pedal demo, just to present it as it is. I don't do a lot of post-processing on those. I do like a high pass filter so that I don't rumble people's studio monitors when they're listening on their big speakers or whatever. I very rarely ever do any compression, especially on drives and fuzzes like that. Like I use compression to boost up, like if I'm doing a reverb or delay, it'll boost the trails a little bit so people can hear those a little better.
Right.
But you could do that from the mix knob on the pedal as well. So I feel like that's not a misrepresentation, but it really is my goal to like show just what it sounds like through amps that you can see with bad playing and people can make their own decisions. And if I feel like I have something personal to say about it, I will be like, oh, I like it. I like this feature. I like, this certain kind of sound or something like that. A lot of times people are watching my face for my reactions and they can tell a lot through that because I'm not an actor. I don't know how to fake facial expressions. If I did, I'd look a lot better most of the time.
Oh, gosh.
But, I feel like our core mission is, I feel like we're pretty honest. We're pretty on the level. We're not trying to fool anyone. I mean, we want to be a resource for people to market through so that we can make some money,
Right.
and make this worthwhile for us. But I don't think that's bad. But I also I feel like we don't let that kind of color the way we present anything. So I don't know.
I also don't think to this point, I will say, like, I don't think we've had any sponsors who have asked us to talk about a product that we haven't
in a misleading way
tried or in a misleading way.
Sure.
So, again, pulling back a little bit, when a company approaches us and says like, hey, we want you to talk about, this sale we're having. It's a sale. Like, it's simple. Like you either like we're just getting the word out.
Go check it out.
I can't tell you whether or not like a pedal company giving you a 15% discount for 60 cycle hum makes their pedal affordable for you.
Right.
Yeah, and I guarantee you, like, if we did one for some companies that 15% off with 60 cycle hum discount, like there's always going to be that one person or that group of people that's like, even with 15% off, that brand is way too expensive. And it's like,
yeah, whatever.
You can't do anything about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I avoid in the demos is I avoid talking about the price of things.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what people's financial situation is. Like, I don't know what's affordable or not affordable for you. Like,
We don't know if you're making $19,000 a year, a month,
a month,
or a year.
Like good old Paul Reed Smith thinks is the norm or the average.
Yeah, I think it will be interesting,
Oh, we just lost a PRS sponsorship.
I know.
I felt it in the force.
I think it would be interesting in and there's no way to know. Actually, where it would be interesting, and maybe it's actually changed their show more, and this is where things get like Patreon driven, is like this. I think this would be a much more interesting question for the guitar nerds. One, because they do the stuff with
also they're employed.
A-Tune or whatever it's called. Whatever it is on their podcast that puts like Legoland commercials at the beginning.
Right. Yeah.
And like, I forgot what the one that I was listening to most recently, but it puts like the Manscaped commercial, like the Manscaped spot we did to Total Shame. I think, because it's just so jarringly different.
I would not.
And that's not a knock, because I get why they're doing it. And I think that's part of like the podcast, like Podbean will do that with us if we wanted to.
Well, here's the question. Like, what is best for our audience? For us to have sponsors that are completely unrelated to the gear industry. So we're not, pushing, one gear brand over another, and we're just pushing, pube trimmers and stuff like that, purple mattresses or whatever.
Right.
Or is it better for our audience for us to be talking about sponsors that are gear oriented, and it's more entertaining, in my opinion, because it's on brand for us. It's stuff that we care about. It's stuff that we can interact with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think? Like, which one is a healthier situation for our audience?
That's interesting, because as I think about that and like process that, one of the thoughts I had is, this goes back to listener supported programming versus advertisement supported, like marketing supported programming. And you get a combination. I mean, there are a lot of channels that are primarily listener supported, but they still take like the big name ads. And what you probably would not ever see from anyone that at least that I can think of on the podcast side. Maybe someone's done it. I don't know.
Get to the point, man.
If a podcaster came out and said, hey, you know what? Like right now I'm taking these ads because I really want to make this product for you. And I think I make a really good product. And if my Patreon level gets to this point, then I will cut all of my sponsors.
Right.
And is that even feasible? Is that like a totally insane idea?
That's
maybe?
Not the way I think about it at all, though. Like, I mean, every different show is specific about how they use their money. Like,
yeah,
we've always said that our Patreon money is for the development of the show, to cover travel costs and production costs like cameras and microphones, right, and building sets and whatnot, and providing food for events. Like the Patreon's paid for the food that was at our 300th episode party. Things like that, things that wouldn't normally be a financial burden for us to produce the show. And then there's a split from that where the sponsorship money just goes into our pockets, and that's like us making a profit for
right,
our personal selves, because we're the ones sitting in front of these mics and doing that,
right.
Where like if all of a sudden we were making the same amount or more through the Patreon than we are through sponsorship, I'd just be like, well, that increases our ability to produce the show, and we're going to keep doing sponsorships, and we're going to keep growing that, because I do want to be a source for sponsorship and for advertising and
right,
things like that. There's something about that is exciting to me as someone who has a marketing and an advertising and a design background. That's where my headspace is.
Well, and I think to that too, like you asked, like what benefits these people.
Yeah, this has become a long topic.
No, I know. Well, that's why I didn't want to do it last episode. What benefits our base more, and it probably is to keep like industry-based sponsors going, because the reality is like what benefits our customers more, building relationships between us and different brands, or building relationships between us and mattresses.
Right. And like we did Manscaped because they hit us up and it's like, okay, well, let's try this. This is going to be interesting.
It was a fun way to test the water.
It was a fun departure.
See what that looks like.
But I just don't think that a podcast our size is marketable through that sort of like more traditional big podcast sort of thing, because they want to do every like compensation that's all link based.
Yeah.
And people were saying they tried to use our code and it didn't even work.
Right.
So it's like, I don't think they're ever going to hit us up again. If they do, that's fine. It was a fun sponsorship spot to do, but I much prefer to, it feels more natural and more honestly for me to talk about Chase Bliss or D'Addario or even Sweetwater. I mean, we vet, these sponsors, they're sponsors that we believe in for, the vast majority of the time. Like, we have real experiences with them. So I don't know. And even if we don't, we build relationships and we get to figure them out and stuff. And then every now and then we have a boo-boo where we do the Gear Supply Co. thing.
It's true.
And, you know, that a company folds and does bad stuff and leaves everyone in the lurch.
I think I think until you get into like full episode sponsorship by single manufacturers. Oh, so, okay. Perfect example. If I'm online and somebody says, hey, where do you guys shop online? Like, should I check it? Like, what do you guys think? Like, should I buy from Musician's Friend or Sweetwater? Like, I'm going to say Sweetwater. I'm going to say Sweetwater because I do actually think Sweetwater is better to buy from than Musician's Friend.
I would have said that so quick pre us being sponsored.
But also, like, that's part of a thing. But if I didn't actually like that product, you know, I don't think that there's any, well, and thirdly, like, you're talking about buying something from a company. So it doesn't, in my mind, like, it doesn't matter. Well, versus like if we were sponsored by like a big pedal company who was like, we're your pedal sponsor now, period.
Right.
You know,
and you can't talk about any other pedals.
Can't talk about any other pedal. So, you know,
that would suck.
I think, you know, if I'm just say Boss, because they're so ubiquitous. And now all of a sudden, like, Boss comes in and said, like, oh, well, you were doing an ad for a Klon, and you told your audience that you think $3,000 for a Klon was ridiculous, but you didn't say that instead of buying a Klon, you should just buy a Boss SD1 Wazacraft.
I was going to say SD1 too.
You know, at that point, like, yeah, obviously, like, that's a level of control.
If that was the reality, if that was the reality that anyone in what we do had to work with, then I wouldn't do it. Like, that's like, you know,
well,
like
at that point it's, you know,
Wayne's World level stuff.
Right. At that point it's Boss presents 60 cycle hum.
Right.
And I think that's the level at which,
I'm not against,
you know, it becomes untrustworthy. And that goes to the idea, going back to the idea of magazines, the difference, you know, we go back and forth. The most sponsors we've ever had on a show at a time, I think we did 5 once.
Yeah.
And it was just like,
it was pushing it.
Felt really crammed. We try to space out, like, this is so much behind the curtain.
I know.
It's got to be super boring for people who actually want to hear about ads. But we try to, like, do no more than 4. The last few weeks we've had like 2 or 3.
4 is the max.
But if you think about like a magazine, so 4, if we do 4, we try to put them together. So there's like 10 or 15 minutes of content,
a magazine,
5 minutes of ads, another 10 or 15 minutes. So it's kind of like TV.
A magazine will have 50 advertisements, maybe even 100, and they'll have 5 articles.
I have literally looked through. I don't remember what.
And then the article, and then the article's an advertisement too, because they had some poor little pedal company pay for a full page ad so that they could get featured.
I think 2 or 3 years ago we took home some guitar magazines from NAMM because they give them away.
Yeah.
And I literally went through one of them and figured out that if the magazine was like 120 pages, I think. And if you had removed all the ads, it would drop the magazine down to less than 50 pages.
Right.
Like half of the magazine was ads.
Right.
What I'm saying, Ryan, is we need to like tighten up our ad spots.
And do more?
So they take up less time. We can do more if we talk about each company less.
I don't think we could talk less, Steve. That's why we do this show.
Speaking of money,
we literally can't talk less.
Gosh, we're only 2 spots into this, and it should be done.
This is long. I mean, we're celebrating our 300 coming up here. We owe it to ourselves to do a little bit of self-reflection.
We're not even doing a drunk episode tonight.
No. Should we do one of those for 301?
I don't know.
Treat everyone.
300 was already a drunk episode for me.
Let's do like a New Year's drunk episode or something like that.
All right, so we'll talk about it.
Yeah. Make it a live stream.
You got anything else on sponsors and big sponsors and how much it would be interesting to have a gear company offer us $10,000 a month for advertisement and having to navigate that water?
I mean, you mentioned like, you know, 60 a Boss presents 60 cycle hum. or some sort of concept like that. I'm not against that concept, but I am against the ideas of those super tight controls you were talking about, where like we have someone looking over our shoulders and like, oh, we didn't like that you didn't mention the product in this spot or that spot. Like, that's unnatural. I don't think anyone in the industry would expect that from us, and I would reject it if that was the case.
Right. Even for $10,000 a month?
Not
$20,000?
if someone is offering us $10,000 a month, someone else will offer us $10,000 a month. And that's kind of my thought on us staying honest and staying ourselves in this whole kind of marketing situation, is that if there's enough demand for us to fill 4 sponsor spots in an episode, there's other brands out there that will fill it if we have to say no to someone.
It's fair. It's fair.
Versus a magazine, like you were saying, it's going to have hundreds of ads in it, and they're trying to get every single one. They're trying to land every single one,
right,
by doing, here's another editor's top pick award because you bought a full page ad or whatever, And I know that's me calling out a specific mag specifically, but it's the same in every mag.
Yeah,
it's the same program. And I think.
Oh, is there only one magazine that it doesn't matter?
And I think us running a show with a limited amount of sponsorship space is automatically makes it different than that.
All right.
Yeah.
This next ad was sent in by Michael Kraus. It's a bass/guitar cabinet for $120 in Sharonville.
You can do it, Steve.
This is a seismic audio cabinet.
It must be hard to send mail from Sharonville. It just takes all day to write out your address on the envelope.
Seismic audio cabinet. I bought it to replace another cabinet, but only used it 1x. It was 2x12 cab, but I made it to a 5x12 cab. Evidence Beta A12A and Jensen N15/300 wired at 4 ohms. Speakers are new, just taking up space now. Asking $120 OBO. Speakers are worth more than that. Call, text, phone number, no spam. If it's listed, it's still for sale.
Bless you. How much do you think these go for in new condition?
The cabinets go for $200 new.
All right. So this guy's, I feel like this guy's got a fair price working here for something functionally wise. But what do you think about the craftsmanship on this? Because he's taken a 2x12 and then he's crammed a 15-inch next to one of the 12 inches. And it looks like he cut those vents too, those sound ports. Those do not look stock. And there's like sawdust all over the place. But what he's done is because the 15-inch speaker would not fit next to the 12, the 12-inch speaker is mounted flush on top of the baffle.
Right.
And then the 15-inch speaker is mounted flush on the back side of the baffle.
That's pretty crazy.
Because they overlap. Like, it took me a second looking at it to figure out how you even fit it in there, because the edges of the speakers definitely overlap and are probably sharing screws to be held in that spot. Like, do you think there's any kind of like negative repercussions for that design?
This is kind of crazy. I don't think there are.
You think it's fine?
Because I feel like I've seen that kind of mounting in both ways. Like, I've seen speakers mounted in either.
It just
using
doesn't
either method.
Seem like there's enough material between the two speakers. Like, do speakers need to be isolated from each other by a certain amount of material?
I don't know. Possibly.
Like, I don't think it's going to fail or like disintegrate or anything like that, but it just seems like
this is so crazy.
There's got to be some sort of like technical measurement where people will be like, oh, those speakers are too close together and you're going to get like interference between the speakers or something.
So I think I found this actual cab. These cabs were $199 brand new. That is so...
They're $199 brand new?
Yeah, empty.
Empty?
Empty.
Well, then he's right about the speakers being worth more.
The Eminence 12A is a $70 speaker. So, not really that much. The Jensen N15 is on Amazon.
Are these bass speakers?
I'm not sure if the Beta 12 is.
Right.
The Jensen, I'm not finding a price for them because it looks like they're sold out.
It's fairly common to mix speaker sizes
The
in the bass
Neo
world, right?
15 150, you can get it for €170 from Tube Amp Doctor.
It sounds like if you're looking for these speakers, then you can buy them for a decent price with this ad. But the craftsmanship on the cab is just kind of sucky. Like he didn't even cut a round hole.
Yeah,
for the 15-inch speaker, it's all kinds of sketchy, and it looks like he used one of those drywall circle cutters for the sound ports that he put in there. But what do you think about combining a 12-inch with a 15-inch? Is that a semi-normal thing to do with basses? Does that get you anywhere with a bass guitar?
So I'm actually looking at this. This is
Steve's
not
too busy Googling to give me an opinion.
Yeah. So the beta. So interestingly, actually, the Beta 12A is a professional audio and bass guitar application. The 15-inch speaker, being a Jensen, it's an ultralight Jensen 15 for guitar application. So this is actually flipped.
That's a guitar amp.
It's a guitar speaker.
A guitar
and
speaker.
A bass, like the smaller speaker is a more commonly a bass speaker.
That's wild. I wonder what the thinking there was with combining these. Because this guy went to pretty serious effort to combine these two.
Though that being said,
he wanted these speakers together in the same box.
I don't know how this can be a bass speaker because the usable frequency range only goes down to 43 hertz. Which means you're not even getting all of low E. I'm pretty sure low E is lower than 43 hertz.
I don't know. I don't know how bass guitar works. I don't know how frequencies work.
Interesting.
That is a weird combination though, right? Like I wonder what this person was doing.
Yeah. I think I wonder if this guy just had speakers on hand or like something like that. Like there's just speakers on hand, or maybe he found a way to get them cheap.
What would you offer for this? Are you fine with 120, or you think you would go lower, or you think you would go higher, Steve? You think you would be like, you're not charging enough, sir?
The situation where, I think you're looking at something like this is if you were friends with Cassidy.
Our friend Cassidy.
And you basically wanted 2 separate cabinets.
Right.
Like if you had plans for these speakers in 2 separate cabinets and then maybe you knew enough about woodworking to replace that baffle and restore it back to a 2x12, now maybe this is worth $120. Right. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, he's going to make the argument that, well, the speakers are new and they're worth more than $120, but it's like...
He should just part them out.
Just sell the speakers at that point,
Yeah.
But I think, if I'm local and I'm like, well, actually, I guess I do need if I wanted either of these speakers, and maybe I get one of them and then try to sell the other and call it like a semi flip.
Sure.
Or if I had maybe a guitar cabinet, assuming that I'm really bad at understanding bass frequencies, which is definitely possible. Right. Because I know that there's a whole thing with it's not about how low the speaker goes, it's how it responds to everything around that. So it's even though it only goes to 43 hertz, if it has a really good response between 40 and 80 hertz or 40 and 120 hertz, then it's still going to be better for bass than a speaker that maybe it goes down to 30 hertz, but it has a really bad response curve.
Yeah. Here's my pitch for this cab.
Yeah.
You get this cab, you do a little minor surgery on it, 2 input jacks on it. Then you throw some quilter heads on there, one for you, one for the bass player. Guitar and bass through the same cab. It's going to make your gig load-ins so much easier.
I mean, that's true.
Or you're one of these guys who puts 2 bass strings on a guitar and plays bass and guitar.
So you're in precedence?
And splits the signal. I was thinking local H, and splits the signal from the guitar into a bass signal and a guitar signal. 1 cab for your bass guitar rig there. Or you've got one of those double necks, bass on top, guitar on bottom. There you go, 1 cab. Mm-hmm. I think that's the real purpose of this situation here. This episode was brought to you by Chase Bliss Audio, makers of pedals that are more creative than you are. And yes, that is a personal attack, and you should feel attacked. But you can earn your way. You can fight your way into a more creative place in your life by going out and purchasing a Chase Bliss pedal. Now that we've talked about, our place in advertising and marketing, now I feel like I'm going to go full shill.
If you're looking for a drive pedal that works doubly well as a fuzz or distortion, if you're looking for an all-around EQ preamp pedal, a tremolo, a chorus, delays, reverbs, mood, swingers.
Not a flanger.
Not a flange.
Don't ask.
Also no longer a generation loss.
Well, that was limited. They sold it out in like a day or something.
Go ahead on over to Chase Bliss. Get on their mailing list.
Yes.
And that way you don't even have to listen. You can skip this ad because you're on the mailing list. So you're going to get their news faster than we can give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah. So fast.
Yeah.
So fast it's going to hurt.
All right. This next topic is called, when do guitars become basses?
We've been doing a lot of bass content here.
When does a guitar become a bass and a bass become a guitar? I'm thinking big, long baritone guitars and 6-string basses.
Well, you see, son, your guitar's been going through changes. You might have noticed. It's getting longer, deeper. Your guitar's becoming a bass. I think it really comes down to the application. Because I could take a guitar and downtune it a bit and roll back the tone and fake some bass sounds in a recording if I wanted to. And in that application, I'm using it as a bass.
Right. I think it's not just, it's tough because I don't want to say it's just the role it fits. Because I guess like slap bass and funk bass, bass in a lot of pop, that kind of fast attacking sound, tends to function where in higher registries a lot better. Players who play those kinds of styles tend to play higher up on the neck with the higher strings.
Right.
Maybe they play 6 strings and they're going for really percussive tones on the high notes. And now they're getting into the same ranges that you get on the low end of a guitar, which I get,
Sure.
saying a 6-string bass.
Or a baritone.
Or a baritone on the
Yeah.
coming the other way. But a baritone is actually its own thing, right? A baritone is we call it a baritone guitar, but I guess we also call it a bass guitar.
Right.
So is guitar just the thing? And the thing is you have guitar, and then you have above it you have tenor guitar.
Yeah. I mean, we think of a bass as a completely different thing than a guitar, but it's a guitar. It's in the guitar family.
Right.
It's not so far divorced from guitar that it couldn't possibly be a guitar. You can do short scale guitars that feel closer to a regular guitar. And then, like you said, you move down to tenor guitars and things like that. And
in that case, I don't even know, I'm thinking about vocal ranges I don't even know what you would call guitar. What is that in a vocal range? I'm only familiar with
I think it covers a couple
4
ranges.
Common vocal ranges. Is that why? Because it's kind of in between baritone and tenor, so it's just guitar. No,
right.
No modifier.
Right. Well, I think it covers a variety of vocal ranges, doesn't it?
Sure, but yeah,
So you wouldn't say here's a soprano guitar because it covers more than the soprano range. I know that.
But I'm saying
I don't know. I don't know the actual call out of the spacing on musical notation that these different designations have. But I imagine a guitar covers a pretty wide gamut.
Right, but so does a baritone guitar covers almost the same gamut except for the top five notes.
I wonder if the title baritone guitar and tenor guitar is more just we don't know what else to call it. It's a bigger one, so let's call it a baritone. Does it actually fill the note range of, what is classically considered baritone? Does a tenor guitar actually, represent that note range? I don't know. These are questions that can't be answered. People don't have answers for them.
There is a company called Lone Tree that makes a soprano guitar, and the soprano guitar is tuned A to A.
All right.
So it has the body size of a baritone ukulele and tuned with the same intervals of a guitar at a fifth higher register. So it's A to A. Isn't that just the same as putting a capo on the fifth fret?
Yeah.
So I guess I don't really...
But that's ukulele tuning. So you basically have a git uke, you know?
So now I guess the problem is that I don't really know. I know tenor guitars usually only have 4 strings.
Let's just call ukuleles soprano guitars. Tenor guitars have 4 strings. Why don't we call a ukulele a soprano guitar?
Because ukuleles have that retrograde, or what do they call it, like retro tuning? I forget. There's a term for it.
Right. The high string is a higher octave.
Yeah.
The what would be the G string on a guitar is a higher octave.
Right. Whereas what I'm describing here is what they're calling a soprano guitar is it's the opposite of a baritone.
Sure.
A baritone goes a fifth down.
Right.
You just got more notes low. Baritone, more notes low. Sopranos, less notes low.
We're talking about long guitars, medium long guitars, short guitars, and baby guitars. That's what we're talking about here. I don't remember the top. Oh, when do guitars become bass? Yeah. I still say that it's when you play them as a bass. You throw an octave pedal on there, you roll the tone back, you play bass parts, you're playing bass. You've used, technology to get you there, but
extra confusion. Ibanez sells a piccolo guitar that's the same tuning as the soprano guitar, but a piccolo is just like a tiny flute.
Right. Here's my pitch. It's not about the note range, because people are playing bass notes on all these extended scale guitars now, 8-string guitars and whatnot, but they're playing them as guitars. It's about the tonality that you play with.
Right.
It's about the low EQ range. If you're playing the boom, 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 that's bass. Mm-hmm. If you're playing, I can't even mimic an extended range guitar, like a genty sort of thing. That's not bass guitar. That's a style of guitar playing. Like
sure.
It's a style. There's bass style playing, and then there's low guitar style playing.
No, I think that's probably a big part of it, and also I think a lot of those like genty style bands or like bands that drop tune, everyone's drop tuning,
right? So
while your 7-string guitar or your baritone or whatever, your 7-string fan fret blah 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 is drop tuning to like drop A, so is your bass. So while the guitar is dropping into the traditional bass range, the bass is dropping into a non-traditional bass range.
Right. Is it really that non-traditional versus, like 4-string bass versus 5-string bass? Like you're still getting super low.
Yeah, I mean a drop A, if you're in drop A, you are whole note lower tan a 5-string.
But that's,
one whole note.
That's not extreme or crazy. Like
extreme.
Like I could grab any one of my guitars and tune it a whole note lower, and it wouldn't like throw me off too hard. It's basically drop tuning, So I don't feel like you're down tuning a 4-string bass to be A is that crazy compared to a 5-string bass that's tuned down a whole note. And people do drop C and drop C sharp and stuff like that too. I don't know.
I don't really, I think it's a lot about approach.
When are we going to start making guitars
over again
go higher? Everyone's been dropping.
Hammer had those
for decades.
Had those 27 fret guitars.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, I want one of those Ed Sheeran guitars that's just 3 frets.
At what point are you just At what point are you at the limit of the materials? Like how much higher, like how thin does a guitar string have to be for you to be able to put enough tension on it for it to go higher than whatever?
I think in that kind of range, once you exceed the physical abilities of the material, then you start throwing octave pedals on there. I mean, I can go 2 octaves higher with my pitchfork, or with settings on the HX Stomp. I could layer octave settings on the HX Stomp and go like so high that only dogs can hear me.
So you're talking about octave pedals and totally off subject. The shim verb on my Alexander Golden Summer, when I use it on bass on like the lowest notes, because it's doubling like an octave higher or for the shimmer, you can't tell it's there. Like it just blends in. So if I'm trying to play shim verb, like I have to play above the D, like the 12th fret on the D string. Like I have to get up into that range.
Let's hit this last ad and get out of here.
Hold on, we got some housekeeping, dude.
Oh, housekeeping!
Are we going
to use the box this time?
We are going to use the box.
Hand me that box. Here we go.
Whoa, heads up. There's me.
Was the marker in there? Did the marker drop?
The marker's over here.
Give me the marker.
Oh, I got the bag over here. I got a bag.
All ready to go?
Yeah. So this first one at the $1 level is Jason Weiser. If you want to support the show, get on over to patreon.com/60cyclehumcast. And then at the $10 level is Andrew, like Madonna, one name only. Thanks, Andrew, supporting the show at the Inner Circle level.
I like your style, Andrew.
If you haven't already, find one of us on Facebook, and we will get you into the Inner Circle Facebook group, the behind the scenes group.
We're gonna send you some Ortega stuff that I got from 42 Gear Street. First of all, this capo.
Okay.
And then a 30-foot cable with like the pop thing on it, so it doesn't pop when you unplug it.
Will that actually fit in that bag?
Yes, it will fit in the bag.
Well, there we go.
And it says Andrew on there, so you know it's for you.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get it out pretty soon. I've got some plans. I got to catch up on shipping as soon as I get an actual weekend off.
We got more junk in there that we're trying to get rid of.
It's not junk. It's quality materials that we are over inundated with.
There's a bunch of cables and straps and stuff, and little fun gizmos that you might need. 30-foot cable. Imagine what you do with a 30-foot cable, Andrew. You're going to love it.
This last ad was set by Brett Michael Purvis. It's a 1950 Vester guitar made by Gibson Gretsch. Case, make reasonable offer $15,000.
I couldn't figure out if these were made by Gibson or Gretsch. Like, that's a wild thing to say right there.
The case?
Oh, the case. Oh, okay.
Or the Vester made by Gibson.
Gretsch case is what he's saying.
I don't know.
He needs a comma there, man. Vester guitar made by Gibson Gretsch case. What is he trying to say? It felt like he was trying to say this guitar was made by Gibson and then the case is made by Gretsch.
It's pretty confusing.
But were Vester guitars made by Gibson? I don't think they were.
No, Vester was a musical instrument manufacturer specializing in, this is from Wikipedia.
Wikistevia over here.
Formed as part of the Samuel Music Company based in Illinois. Vester is perhaps best known for their good quality Korean electric and acoustic guitars.
This guy is smoking crack if he thinks he's going to get $15,000 for this.
Well, so the thing that's first thing that's totally goofy about,
and I just want to say, I'm not trying to belittle people who smoke crack.
Is he says it's a Gibson or Gretsch from 1950, and I don't even think this style of guitar was made by any company in 1950.
Right. No, he's completely out of his mind. Oh man, I keep feeling bad about the things I'm saying. This person is flat out wrong if he thinks these guitars were made in 1950. I mean, this was an 80s brand, right? I mean, let alone the body.
I don't even think this is actually. Doesn't seem like this is even an 80s brand. This was like Vester was maybe.
No, because
late 80s, like
it was an 80s brand.
87, and they were still in manufacturing in the early 90s.
Late 80s is still 80s, and I looked up Vester on eBay to see what else I could find. I found a bunch of super strats.
Yeah,
and I found this one that I think is really fun. It's got like this pinwheel airbrushed graphic on it. It looks like a big lollipop.
Yeah,
and it's all radiating from the volume knob. I think it looks cool.
And this was a thing, that you pointed out when we were prepping this, is that, and it's pointed out in the Wikipedia article that Vester guitars were specifically an attempt to capitalize on the success of Jackson and ESP.
Oh yeah, it's totally like a Jackson
and
rip.
this is very Jackson.
It's got the shark fin inlays and everything. And this is more of like a dinky style.
Yeah.
Super Strat, 3 knobs, 3 switches for each pickup. Totally like an 80s hair metal shredder sort of concept here. I didn't see any of these semi-hollows from Vester on eBay. But I saw a few pop up just on a general Google search. Mm-hmm. None of them were close to 15,000.
No, they're probably
nothing.
I feel like the most you would ever pay for a Vester is like $250.
There was some stuff that popped up in the Google search that was like $450 or whatever. I think certain makes and models fetch a little bit more, but yeah, it's like
I'm seeing like some of these Ibanez copies on Reverb for like $380.
Yeah,
I've also seen one of their like 5-string basses for $120.
Yeah, you can pick this stuff up.
Here's a Vester
cheap.
Model 700, which is the semi-hollow on Reverb for $475.
I have no idea if this stuff is any good. I've never played it. This is the first I've heard of this brand. So, I mean, buyer beware. Maybe it's good. Maybe it's not. Try it out, I guess. If I saw this in a pawn shop, I'd for sure pick it up and test it out for a little bit.
It's a nice looking guitar, but I will say, I remember this about Vester.
I like the headstock.
Look at their logo, though. That logo looks so lazy.
It looks Christian. It's got the T cross. It looks like it could be like
I see what you're saying.
It looks like it could be a sticker you buy at freaking C28 or whatever it is, like the Christian Hot Topic.
I see what you. Yeah,
I like this jet inlay thing.
Oh, is that what that is? I thought it was. I see a tulip.
It looks like a tulip too. It's probably more like a tulip than a jet, but I saw a jet.
If these are made in Korea, it said that.
Send me some screen grabs of that if you can, or send me the link.
Oh, I can send you the link.
Is it on Reverb?
It's on Reverb.
Yeah, share me the link so I can make sure I get that. Because that's a cool example. What were you gonna say? It's super fun when we're just quiet as you're doing fun stuff.
What I was saying is, like, I remember that brand. That script just looks so lazy to me.
Yeah. It's not a great design. It looks super sloppy. It looks like someone sketched it out on pencil and they're like, well, this is our logo. And the person doing the inlays is like, you sure? You really want that as, yep, that's the logo. I drew it out. It's good. That's the creative process I see for that.
Well, it's logo. Not even that. The creative, that's way more than I was thinking, because the creative process I see for that is, the guy who's running this company is like, I got this idea for a new company. We're going to call it Vester. And he's got his chalkboard. He's got his chalkboard back there. And he's just like, all right, guys, we got Vester. So I'm going to put Vester on the chalkboard. And he writes it down. And he goes like, puts an underline on it, and he says, what kind of guitars do we want? What companies do we want to make similar to? And he starts writing those down. Then afterwards, somebody takes a Polaroid of it, and then sends it to the marketing department. Is like, well, how do we bridge all this together? And the marketing department's like, well, first we need a logo. And then they look at the picture. Gotta have a logo. And then they look at the picture and they're like, we'll just where the guy wrote, where the head of the guitars division wrote Vester, that script, we'll just turn that into an inlay.
Right.
It's just somebody's handwriting.
Sure. It's their handwriting on a whiteboard that they just did behind their back.
Yeah.
It's going to be Vester, guys.
It looks very borderline.
Is Vester short for investor?
I don't know. It's some kind of is that a sans font? I didn't really look that close.
No, it's a hand.
Are there serifs?
It's a hand font. Serifs? They were trying to do the Fender hand noodle look.
Oh, maybe that's why I hate it.
Yeah. They tried and failed to do that.
Yeah. It's the Uncanny Valley. That's what it is. It's an Uncanny Valley logo. Okay, for real, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's certain logos where you look at it and you're like, something's just not right.
Right.
Post them in the comments. I want to hear what your Uncanny Valley logos are.
That's the weirdest.
Do you got anything else on this?
No, let's get out of here.
All right, this last song was sent by Joe Thomas. Well, he says, "Hey guys, been wanting to send this for a while. The band is called the Showoffs. The song is called Redline. I hope." There we go. We're downloading.
Yeah, here we go. You think we would?
Well, you did a call out recently, and like when people just send, "Here's a song," and then they put like band name, song title. I'm like, wait, you sent us your music, right? You didn't just pull this off of the CD.
Right. Oh, what I did is in a. I like it. Of course I do.
That was fast.
They certainly are good at being loud. No, I like that.
No, that was fun.
I mean, it crossed some genres for me. It ticked some boxes.
You know what that reminded me
like
of? Though?
Surfy stuff.
That reminded me of, but without being like super niche, is the Phenomenauts.
Oh yeah, it totally has a bit of a Phenomenauts vibe to it. Cool song, guys.
Yeah, thanks for sending.
Stay grounded.
Bye.